House prices are going through the roof, and with banks making it tough to borrow, buying a home in the UK is becoming an impossible dream.
We just can't get a mortgage, and around here the house prices are so high.
So a few brave, ordinary people are trailblazing what could be the solution for many of us, trying to build their own home from scratch. Maverick architect Piers Taylor and me, Kieran Long, are following 6 self-builders as they take on the biggest gamble of their lives.
I haven't got any option. If you've got to do it, you've got to do it.
We'll try to help them create the dream house they've longed for.
Wow.
They need to be clever with their cash and creative with design.
Kind of has clarity, it looks very beautiful, doesn't it?
It does.
These cut windows.
If it was me, I think I'd put my bath right here.
Kinky.
But each has their life savings at stake.
Oh, what have they done?
Little or no building experience.
I haven't got absolutely no clue with design.
And a budget of less than £100,000 to spend. How much money have you got left?
Let me see.
It won't be easy.
If I think too much about everything, then I think, whoa.
Tonight, a pizza van owner from Leeds cooks up a plan to build a massive 4-bedroom house on an extremely difficult backland plot.
Walking through into the main living area.
And he's gambled his mum and dad's retirement money on the build.
It's our savings and our pension.
But as costs spiral, he'll have to deal with mounting problems.
How the hell is he going to do this? It's 4 times the size of an average semi-detached house.
He'll have to make radical design decisions just to get it finished.
I've no idea how I'm going to do this.
Today, I'm meeting someone facing a problem familiar to us all, being priced out of buying in your own area. If you work for yourself, the chances of raising a mortgage to buy a house are even slimmer. That's exactly the situation that Martin Wyman finds himself in, and I'm off to Leeds to see a bit of derelict scrubland that he's found and hopes to turn into the house of his dreams. But it's going to be a massive ask, because Martin will have all the pressures of building a property while running his own small business.
In she goes. Cooked at 300 degrees C for approximately 4 minutes.
29-year-old Martin's only option to get the home he wants is to build it himself.
In the area that I want to live, it's quite difficult to find a house, and it's just to have my own space. And it's something that most people would like to try and do, and I just thought it was the right time and went ahead with it, really.
But Martin has a big problem. The deal he did to get the land has used up all his hard-saved cash.
Managed to get a good-sized site. And at this point now, I own the land, but I don't have any money.
Martin's only hope to find the £100,000 he needs is to turn to his mum and dad. Jeff and Elaine worked in local schools and now live in a small bungalow 40 miles away in Oldham. As a retired couple, the money's not easy to find.
We decided to finance the project.
It's our savings and our pension. It wasn't easily lent to him.
We have a promise he'll pay us back so that our pension fund is back to where it was.
Martin's got bold plans, a 4-bedroomed house, the kind of property he'd never be able to buy for £100,000.
So front door, into my shower room.
It's not the sort of thing I would have done. I would not have taken the risk that he's taken.
Just worry sometimes that he can't manage to project manage this and make a living for himself with the pizza business.
It's a lot of responsibility to know that effectively I've taken most of their savings and put it into a house. Obviously, I would never want to let them down, so I do worry about it, so I need to try and get it paid back as soon as possible, really.
Martin's building in the Leeds suburb where he's been renting. On a very modest annual income of around £15,000, he was priced out of the property market.
Tell me how you
came to find this plot and how you ended up buying it.
Funny story, really. Actually, I used to live around the corner, so I've lived here for about 5 years in the area. When I started to look for somewhere to live, I obviously looked in the area I was, and I actually used to rent that second garage. These used to be a block of garages. So
this was a line of garages?
Yeah. So I spoke to the owners to see whether they'd be interested in selling the plot for me to put a house on.
What made you want to build your own house in the first place?
Obviously, the age I am, I don't really have many dependents, so I thought if I'm going to do it, I might as well do it now.
Yeah.
It's going to be hopefully a family home in the future. Yeah. I mean, I'm not really thinking about that as yet, but I didn't want to just build a small house where I wanted to, you know, if I had a family that I'm going to move out in 2 or 3 years.
This is a massive challenge for anyone. Martin does have some building experience, but never on a budget this tight. Are you going to get your hands dirty? What's the idea?
Yeah, I'm hoping to do as much as I possibly can, because if I subcontracted the whole build out, you know, there's no way I could afford it. I'm just going to crack on and just try it.
With no spare cash, Martin's enlisted the help of an architect friend to draw up plans to his specifications. But what Martin has come up with is extremely ambitious. On the ground floor, a small entrance hall opens into a huge lounge diner. While at the other end of the very large building, space is given over to a carport. The house is relatively narrow, but upstairs he's planning an office and 4 bedrooms laid out along a corridor. For a house of this size in the area, you would normally pay over £400,000. His parents will fund the build until he can move in and get a mortgage, but the design is not their cup of tea.
I actually looked at it a couple of days ago and I thought it might make quite a nice children's nursery or an old folks home. We support him fully. It's just that we don't happen to like what he's building.
Martin's situation is familiar to so many people. He's facing exactly the problems that people in their 20s and 30s face in this country. He's chosen a really high-risk strategy to get his house done. It's a difficult site. He's trying to build a very big house and he's borrowing from mum and dad. I'm really rooting for Martin to pull this one off, but I must say I'm worried. It's a lot of house to try and build for £100,000. Planning permission is already in place for the lengthy build, so we can't dramatically alter the basic frame of the house. But it's the vast interior and costly finish that will present the toughest challenge. Martin's going to need support, and the man by our side throughout this is acclaimed architect Piers Taylor. Having built his own award-winning house, Piers has first-hand experience of the highs and lows of the self-builder.
The first thing is, it seems huge. I mean, this is 100,000 quid, and, you know, ostensibly on paper, this looks like a 300 grand build. It's a big house by any stretch of the imagination. Let's be clear that to do anything this size for 100,000 quid is a challenge.
Building on an awkward, overlooked backland site will throw up a myriad of problems.
But typically, they cost a lot of money. I mean, I know buildings on backland sites that have cost millions. You know, we need to kind of remember that this is a £100,000 low-cost house.
But while Martin's been hugely ambitious about the exterior, Piers thinks he's taken a very conservative approach to the interior.
My concerns inside are this looks like a conventional building inside. So upstairs, there's this rabbit warren of bedrooms and this conventional sort of dog-leg passageway. It feels like plasterboard city, you know, and that is a problem. And one wonders, given that he's a kind of young 29-year-old guy, why he can't do something a bit more dynamic with, you know, some other more interesting modern materials.
There's a whole host of simple changes that he thinks could dramatically improve the layout and save money.
Living there by himself, one wonders why he doesn't just take this wall out and perhaps, you know, reconfigure this to be one big bedroom here with this fantastic view. Yeah.
But Piers has got more serious concerns about the plans for the ground floor.
And downstairs, he's compartmentalised this. I worry that this is actually going to be quite a dark, mean space, you know. There's stuff in here you could just take out to save money, and I think certainly this wall could just go and it would be a better building and a cheaper building. One can picture this painted magnolia with bull-nose skirtings.
Perhaps he hasn't seen great architecture of contemporary houses, you know, so for him this is pretty radical. Yeah. I think we could probably push him further by showing him some good stuff.
I mean, it looks ambitious. Let's actually, you know, dare I say, make him more ambitious to realise that he can do this if he's clever.
So our challenge is to find inspiring ways to improve on Martin's design but somehow keep him within his £100,000 budget. On site, Martin's beginning his 18-month odyssey, and he's sticking to his plan to save money by doing as much as he can himself.
If I was doing anything more complicated, I'd want to be able to check that I was doing it right, but I'm pretty confident in what I'm doing. It's only mixing a bit of concrete and flattening it out a bit.
He's even turning his hand to new skills.
Come on, baby.
But for the major work, Martin can't avoid hiring additional labour, and it's eating through the money his parents have lent him.
I'm just trying to negotiate everything down. I mean, like the floor, for instance, I got the quote. I had like 10 minutes on the phone grovelling to him, and I managed to get like 300 or 400 quid off.
Getting the foundations laid has cost him £10,000. The floor sets him back another £5,000. Then it's a whopping £30,000 on the timber frame. These precision-made panels are designed to slot together on site in just a few days. The hope is that spending big money on the frame will mean he can complete the house more quickly.
Timescale-wise, it enables me to be able to be inside the house, sort of getting the plumbing and electrics in while the actual external masonry goes up. It does save quite a lot of time.
The bespoke frame is a massive chunk of Martin's budget, but he has managed to save on the land. Complicated planning restrictions actually make backland sites a godsend for self-builders, often going for half what you'd pay for a normal site. He managed to acquire this one for £100,000 following 10 years of hard saving and equity from a property deal. You'll find backland sites all over our towns and cities because of the way we've built in the past. These terraces circle a block, and in the heart of that block, behind all of the back gardens, is often a piece of leftover land. Martin's only way to build a decent-sized house was to find a plot like this that no one else wanted. They're often the only slices of precious urban land a brave self-builder can afford. Look at this place, it's kind of completely overlooked. It's really narrow. The site slopes and it tapers, it accesses tight. And if you're a property developer, you just say, not worth it, you'll never make your margin. And commercial builders are also put off by the lengthy process of getting planning approval on these awkward bits of land. It took Martin 18 months of working on the design before he finally had planning permission granted. Now, his timber frame is about to be delivered. Scaffolding surrounds the space where the shell of Martin's house will be lowered into place. It's a tense time, which has meant he's had to be away from his pizza business.
Pretty much been up on site for 12 hours a day the last 4 or 5 days. Just checking stuff, measuring everything. Never 100% confident. There's always something that can go wrong.
£30,000 worth of flat-packed timber arrives. A third of Martin's entire budget rolls in on the back of a truck. Or tries to. Martin's starting to see some of the problems of building on a backland plot.
The issue is we've got quite a rather large crane and a rather small site. And that was just a case of trying to work out the best angle for him to come in so we can get him down the corner in the right position.
The scaffolding has to be adjusted for the crane to get in.
Thought we might be taking off the neighbour's roof at one point.
But after a bit of manoeuvring, they've managed it, and Martin's house is starting to take shape.
I'm really excited now to see the panels here, how good they look. The whole structure of the house will be seen. You'll be able to see how it all works together. I'll be able to see how the rooms feel. It's going to be good.
It's been 4 months since he started the build, but it's only now that Martin can see the true scale of the task ahead.
Seeing it up here now, it is quite big.
Martin spent half his parents' money just building this enormous shell, but the real work starts here, The finishes needed for the cavernous interior will be hugely expensive, and he's got just £50,000 left.
Building a house is a really tough challenge, and I know I've done it myself with my bare hands. It can destroy you. It can destroy relationships with your partner, with your parents. It can really push you to the edge.
After 3 days, you can make out the shape of the huge backlands house Martin agreed with the planners. All Piers can do is sit on his hands, but he can foresee problems.
How the hell is he going to do this? It's 4 times the size of an average semi-detached house. All I see is pound signs. Doors are expensive and walls are expensive, and there's a lot of both of those here.
Martin's faced with a forest of stud walls, corridors and door openings to finish, and that means he's going to run out of money. If he's going to repay his parents, then we'll need to persuade him to go for a more radical but simpler and cheaper approach.
My parents, I won't say they're not wealthy people. I don't like asking for the money. I'll be borrowing the vast majority of the 100,000 off them, so hopefully they won't be struggling. When I do obviously get my mortgage and can pay them back, then I'll feel a lot better about it.
Traditional finishes like skirting and doors are expensive. But taking a simpler pared-down approach can save thousands. And if it's done right, simple can be beautiful. I've managed to get access to an incredible building, Slip House in South London. It's a perfect example of what can be achieved with a minimal open-plan approach to interiors. It's 4 times the budget of Martin's house. But there are still lessons for him. There's not a partition wall, door, or even a skirting board in sight.
It's so beautiful, so modern, so airy, so light. It might look like it's expensive to achieve this, but really it's smoke and mirrors, and that's what's so good about good design.
Everything's pared back. They've even been brave enough to make a virtue of leaving things unfinished, which pushes costs down.
This is just polished concrete. It's not even very good concrete. It's simply finished and polished, and it looks great. Reflecting light around the room, it's perfect. I mean, this is just plywood. It's not at all an expensive material. And what they've taken is 2 widths of plywood, stuck them together to give it a good thickness, and then painted it with a very light white wash to just knock it back, to take that kind of woody, earthy tone out. And this is the best example of all for me. It's this wire glass, this kind of safety glass that's probably more familiar to us from industrial buildings. You know, it's not a luxurious material, but in this large sheet size and with the light shining through it from a skylight, it suddenly becomes part of a really luxurious interior.
But at the end of the day, these useful, inexpensive, but very bold ideas might be hard for Martin to fall in love with.
What I hope we can encourage Martin to do is just to pare back his partition walls and just allow the space to sing.
While I've been looking at alternative finishes, Piers has been poring over Martin's plans.
I'm looking for ways to make the spaces better and cheaper. There are all these bedrooms upstairs that appear not to benefit in any way from the fact that they're under a nice, lofty bit of roof with lots of top light coming in. The worry, of course, is that this is going to be a rabbit warren and it's going to be dark. And just by taking out some walls and taking out some doors, you could save money.
Now it's up to Piers to take the first of our thoughts on the layout to Martin. On site in Leeds, help can't come too soon. It's 2 months since Martin's frame went up. He's been working all hours. He's having to keep his pizza business afloat while spending every minute he can on site. And as if it wasn't hard enough already, Martin's been hit by a builder's worst enemy, the British weather.
Can't really do any work, to be honest, in this. You know, water's coming in. I'm constantly trying to stop water coming in through the windows. I was on the roof the other day just trying to stop rain getting in. It's not nice to think that all this water's, you know, getting everywhere, really.
In addition to the water damage done to the exposed timber structure, every day lost eats into his parents' money.
I am feeling a bit tired, a bit down. So obviously knowing Piers is going to come down and hopefully give me a little bit of advice, it'll raise the spirits and get me a bit more excited again.
He knows that money is drifting through his hands. He knows there's still a lot to do, and it's very easy to feel a bit depressed now. Hi, Martin.
Hi, Piers, pleased to meet you.
How are you doing?
Yeah, good, thanks. Good, apart from the weather.
Yeah, terrible, isn't it?
Martin's planning to take a traditional approach to fitting out his house interior.
I had in my head that obviously that I would be doing a lot of plasterboarding and conventional finishes.
Piers has some radical ideas for the interior that could transform the space and save money. Every partition wall he takes out will save Martin cash. For example, losing one in the master bedroom will give it real wow factor and maximise his view.
You know, if you took this wall out, which I think is a no-brainer, you can imagine having a bed there, be able to lie in bed and see right the way down past these houses to that amazing view beyond. If it was me, I think I'd put my bath right here behind a sliding screen that you could sit in the bath with a beer at the end of the day looking right the way down there. How about you do that?
Kinky. I suppose I'd have to waterproof the floor and...
Not necessarily, I mean...
I'm quite messy in the bath, though.
Are you?
Yeah. all over the show.
It looks like Piers might have his work cut out trying to convince Martin to take a less conventional approach. Downstairs, Piers wants to get rid of another wall, allowing a step through from the front door into a more spacious living area.
You'd lose a door, for one thing, so that's saving money. You're losing a bit of wall. There's less finishing. I think also, importantly, you'd come into this space and immediately you'd feel like you're in a big, open, lofty, generous building, rather than in a kind of vestibule to the main space.
But Martin's not sure Leeds is exactly the place for open-plan living.
Unfortunately, it is a bit windy and rainy up here. I don't like the idea of having me sat in my front room and then someone coming through the front door and a gust of cold air to come through.
Martin's not convinced. When it comes to the interior design, he, like many of us, wants to stay traditional and safe.
There's still this mindset that's incredibly difficult to get out of, that houses have ordinary walls, ordinary doors, ordinary skirtings, ordinary finishes like paint and things like that. But I think in this country, that's why we lag behind the rest of the world in doing unusual buildings.
To show Martin a home that will open his mind to new possibilities, we're taking him on a 200-mile trip to one of the UK's most stunning self-built houses. The award-winning Hovering House is in the heart of the Welsh countryside, a location that, like Leeds, gets a fair amount of wind and rain.
One of the things I love about this house is the fact that the routes through it are really kind of exciting and dynamic and fluid, rather than a series of very rigid geometric corridors that are just at 90 degrees. And what's a delight here is that there's nothing at 90 degrees to one another.
But will Martin like such an unconventional interior?
Wow.
At £400,000, the budget to build this house may have been 4 times as much as Martin's. But what Piers wants to show him are the clever design ideas Martin could steal for free.
This is really just a kind of corridor that links a kitchen with a living room. But by just taking the doors out and just carrying this material through, cranking this open a bit, it feels just so much more special. You know, and you could do this at your place for actually less money than by putting doors in and dividing it up. You'd end up with something that just felt a lot more interesting and special than a conventional corridor. Just being able to see up to another space, even through a kind of wall of glass, a little bit like this. So if this was your kitchen, just looking up through that stairwell up to the upstairs would just be fantastic.
Definitely, and I like the idea of maybe using some different materials just to create a focal point in my living area, because it is such a big space and I've got that big wall, so I'll definitely have to you know, think about using some different materials to just break the space up. Really.
Yeah, so materials to kind of zone things, transparency, and then double height space. I mean, it's kind of those things, and that's almost all you need to do, really.
Yeah.
There are more ideas to steal in the kitchen.
You know, this stuff is cheap as anything. You've got endless stud walls in your house, and actually just building in little pockets, you know, I mean, that take you, you know, very little time, very little money to do something like that. And it's usable space for free, really.
If Martin takes the same approach, he'd avoid the expense of hiring in skilled labour to get his house finished.
I like the panelling as well. It's something I can do myself for a start.
Really lovely. I mean, actually, it acts as a kind of bed head here, you know, so you can lean against it, you know, it doesn't get stained. It's just really simple, cheap boarding, painted with kind of eggshell paint.
It's very similar, this wall, to my main bedroom as well, so I can envisage this going on that back wall, and not only does it save me buying a bed head or whatever they're called, it just looks really cool as well.
Outside, Martin is inspired by the way they've finished the walls.
I've obviously got a slate roof on part of the house, and I'm just thinking this section above my garage will look absolutely amazing like that. And I prefer to do that instead of rendering as well, so...
It would look fantastic. Much, much nicer than rendering it.
Slates can cost less than £1 each, and Martin can put them up himself.
I think it's fantastic that you like this. I mean, one of the points of bringing you here is to actually get you inspired by things. So I'm really excited by the idea of you using this up in Leeds.
Even though it's meant taking a day away from the build, Martin's been able to see a very different house for himself.
Really useful. It was a long drive down here, but it's been worthwhile. Obviously, you see TV shows and self-help magazines that I've been reading, but, you know, I always think, God, those places don't exist. So to walk around, it's absolutely phenomenal. I've got some really good ideas.
Having seen how he's genuinely reacted, I think his mind has been kind of blown, you know, coming to a place like this. I think there's no way he'll just go back to doing conventional things in a conventional manner at his house in Leeds.
Back in Leeds, Martin's beginning to put what he saw in Hovering House into action.
I decided definitely going to take this wall out between the two bedrooms. I'm going to start doing a bit of bashing about. It's quite enjoyable.
By taking Piers' approach on board, Martin is improving his space and saving money on finishing.
Even though this is obviously paid technically for this to be built, it will save me hopefully quite a bit of money by not having to plasterboard it.
But it's clear Martin and Piers are never going to agree about everything.
Piers won't be happy though. He wants me to put a bath in this room. But we're in Leeds, man. Imagine bringing your friends around, going to the pub, and then they come round and there's a bath in their room.
It's now nearly 3 months since Martin's frame went up, and the shell of his house has been exposed to the elements ever since. Builds like these continue to throw up problems.
Hopefully when all this wind stops blowing through all the house and everything's flapping about and all the polythene I've got on the outside of the window, trying to keep it dry, I can get rid of all that and it'll start to look a bit more like a house as well.
But thankfully, Martin's windows have finally arrived. With winter on the way, getting the glazing in is essential.
We'll be hopefully watertight soon, which is good because the weather's turning like dramatically. Hopefully within a couple of days it'll feel like an actual home instead of just a building, a bit of an empty shell.
But because he's building on a backland plot, he's had to have narrow windows specially made to protect his neighbours' privacy. All this non-standard glazing comes at a price, devouring more than 10% of his budget. Even worse, I'm worried that less glass will mean that the rooms will be dark. To try to make sure this doesn't happen in Martin's house, I've come to see a house that faced similar problems. Squeezed into a tight spot in the suburbs of London, it's been cleverly designed to maximise all available light. The strict rules governing this tight backlands plot mean you can't directly overlook neighbouring homes. They could have ended up with a dreadful dark dungeon.
They have to get some light in somewhere. And so here you see these two huge expanses of glazing, which are the two places where you can't see anyone. You know, this is the main lounge, huge double French door looking out basically to this small garden that's been carved out of the site. And here, another huge expanse of glass shielded by a cleverly designed screen. So when you're in there, you can't see into anybody else's garden.
If Martin can pull off the same kind of trick, he should be able to achieve bright light spaces, even in his difficult location. In Leeds, Martin is trying to maximise light by opting for fully glazed bifolding doors that open onto his small south-facing garden. Here, no one is directly overlooked. By opening out his bedroom as Piers suggested, Martin can gain even more light. Finally getting the windows in feels like a major step forward. They might be costly, but it's money well spent.
It does actually feel a bit more real, as opposed to just you're slogging away, there's wind coming in, rain coming in, whereas I could sit in here now on a warm day. I mean, it's a big part of the budget, obviously. It's like 11 or 12% of the budget, so they're obviously a big deal, the windows, and it's good to have them in. Nice.
And with well over half his £100,000 spent, he faces the next big decision, the material for the exterior of the walls. And that's going to have another major impact on the budget.
From the outside, you only have one opportunity to get the right stone or the right type of cladding and spend a bit more on things that will be there for quite a while that you can't change after.
The houses closest to Martin's are built in traditional local stone. To fit in, he's using natural Yorkshire sandstone for his largest wall, but it's not cheap. And he's overspent on the labour needed to work the stone.
I thought I'd probably spend about 3,000 to 4,000. It's probably cost nearer 6, labour-wise.
Martin's covering other external walls with heat-treated timber.
It's quite expensive, but they bake it so it's resistant to rot, basically, so no water can get in. And it smells really nice. It actually smells like burnt wood.
Martin is hemorrhaging money on this exterior, but with such a limited pot, I'm worried whether he's spending it in the right places.
He's really invested some money here. There's natural materials, stone and timber. Looks good, but, you know, it rings alarm bells because you know that those things cost him a bit more than he was planning. What does that leave for the interior is my worry. You know, how much has he spent making this beautiful envelope and what's going to be able to be afforded?
We have managed to save him money with one of his material choices.
I think it's been a brilliant decision that Piers has managed to influence this building and have this slate instead of the render. This looks so much more bespoke, it looks so much more crisp. It's going to be impervious to the weather. It's going to be great.
By hanging most of the slate himself, Martin avoided paying to render the walls and saved himself hundreds.
Well, you got a front door.
Yeah.
But inside, he hasn't taken out the wall between the hallway and the kitchen, which could have saved him money on finishes.
Well, obviously I know Piers was very passionate about me opening all this up, taking out the doors there, etc. But I just thought practically, when people are coming in and out, and obviously it can be quite cold.
So I guess what you're saying is us Jesse Southerners can't possibly understand northern drafts.
Don't get me wrong, it would be totally amazing to walk here, I'd not have a wall there, have a bath in the front room. But
there's only so far you're willing to go.
What if I put a door line on here and just left it open for a bit? I'll move in.
Yeah.
While I'm finishing stuff off, and I'll just give it a try.
All right,
see what it's like.
Do that.
This compromise would save him a couple of £100 on a door and retain the sense of space. He's been able to make additional vital savings himself on his kitchen.
I managed to get a second-hand kitchen for £500 so far, but I've got to obviously buy bits and pieces extra to sort of stick it together. Everyone likes a bargain, don't they?
Financial pressures have prompted him to consider bringing the creativity he used outside to the interior as well.
This wall, I had an idea. When the guys were slating the roof, they had a lot of offcuts of slate, so I'm thinking about using all those offcuts and having a slate wall on this side.
Right, wow.
With slate planned as part of the downstairs decor, I'm wondering what he's got in mind for upstairs.
So obviously I've got my staircase in now.
Yeah, that's progress.
I'm impressed with the sense of space that's been created by losing one of his interior walls.
It's going to be fantastically airy.
I'll have a couch here, TV on the wall, bedroom on this side.
Yeah.
So
you won't want to leave this room. It's so beautiful with all this light.
But upstairs, I'm shocked by how much still needs to be done. Every single one of these stud walls needs finishing, and in a conventional way, that will cost thousands of pounds alone.
How much money have you got left to do this interior?
let me see. £1.50.
I can lend you a couple more.
He can still joke about it, but Martin really has reached situation critical with his £100,000. He only has £20,000 of his parents' life savings left to finish, but completing a house this size could cost double that.
I've literally just watched every penny.
Yeah.
It's the worst aspect of the whole thing, if I'm honest. It's probably taken a bit of the enjoyment off it.
He has never taken this loan on lightly.
I need to be able to get a mortgage, you know, to pay them back. So that's always in the back of my mind as well.
Over the next few weeks, things go from bad to worse. Miserable winter weather means the city centre is quiet, and he hardly shifts any pizzas.
Even if I earn £40, £50 a day, it's better than nothing. It's obviously very tight, and I'm spending money just to live at the minute, really.
Already struggling to build a house, he's now struggling to run a business.
A good example is this morning I needed to go to get some drinks, because I sell drinks, but I don't have any cash in my account. A lot of the money my parents have given me, I think probably a bit of it I've spent on things like rent and stuff for the business and all sorts recently, so just trying to do as much as I can, really.
And they're running out of the money they'd scraped together to lend. The house remains deserted and unfinished.
I do know that I'm going to the bank tomorrow to put some more money in his account. The budget doesn't always quite come under budget. It's usually slightly over or around, so it's never under.
With Martin's project at its most critical point, Piers is off to Leeds. Having survived the ups and downs of his own house build, he's the perfect person to spur Martin on and get the build going.
This is a fantastic space, but there's a hell of a lot to do in here.
Oh, yeah.
My concern is that you won't have the money all the time, and it could just drift on for years.
Now barely able to afford even his rent, it's vital we help Martin to complete a few key rooms quickly and cheaply so that he can move in.
I think you could finish this building by being clever about where you get materials. The danger is you move in and nothing happens, or you spend more money over a long time doing something very conventional like plasterboard. That would be the death of this place.
I have been looking at various alternatives, but if we can try and find somewhere I can get a lot of this stuff for next to nothing, then that's definitely something of interest, especially when I'm literally like at the end of my budget.
I really want to find an interesting alternative to plasterboard, and I want to find an interesting alternative that allows Martin not to have to fix something, then plaster something, then decorate something.
And I think I may have tracked down the perfect option: metal.
Metal as a material, I think, is completely underused. I think we can sometimes think of metal as a cold material, as something that's kind of icy and too modern. But I think here you start to see its qualities.
Where better to come than the incredible home of a metalwork artist in Bermondsey? It's a material that takes some know-how to work, but I'm confident if we can get it cheaply, then with a bit of practice, Martin could use it for his walls.
The whole atmosphere is about how metal goes together, how it can block the light, how it can allow light through it. Real creativity with a single, simple, cheap material. But actually, I think what Piers and I would like Martin to look at is materials that have a story to them. Maybe they're reclaimed materials, or maybe, like in this case, it's just that beautiful patina of the galvanising process that adds so much quality to it.
And Piers has heard about a site where he might be able to get exactly what Martin needs in bulk, and hopefully cheap.
It's an old BBC transmission station that's being effectively demolished and all the materials put aside for either scrapping or recycling. I want to scavenge as much interesting sheet material as we can possibly get for Martin, to at least be able to line the whole of his bedroom and perhaps part of that upstairs hall. I just can't bear the idea of it being a plasterboard city.
This is Rampisham Down in Dorset. Having transmitted BBC World Service programmes for the past 70 years, it's now going to be developed into a renewable energy park.
What an amazing place. It's so dramatic to see this stuff.
Low-cost self-building requires radical thinking, and places like this can be a source of unique materials and even ready-made structures, often for little cash at all.
This stuff is worthless, it's just been chucked here, but the potential to use this stuff in buildings is immense. Priceless to a self-builder, it's absolutely priceless. So this looks incredible, and I would love to be able to use this in a building somehow. I suspect we can't fit this in Martin's house, let alone persuade Martin to put it into his house, but actually a lot of the other stuff here we could use. You can imagine using that on a whole wall, this beautiful, shiny, tiled material, I think would look incredible. These things are great too. I can imagine using this instead of ceramic tiles.
Among the material destined for scrap, Piers finds other unlikely gems.
This tension wire has no commercial value, it's just been chucked in a pile to be skipped. But I think that Martin could use this to make a handrail out of. These things are beautiful and so fantastically engineered compared to a horrid beige plastic extractor shroud or something.
But it's the massive ducts made of heavy-duty aluminium sheeting that really catches eye.
I think Martin could use this flat sheet material to line a wall with. It doesn't need finishing, it doesn't need painting, it doesn't need any fire retardant. It's robust, it's beautiful. So this is what we've come for, to get some of this. This is exactly the stuff. It looks in good condition, big flat areas. A couple over there would be great, those big long ones. This is absolutely perfect. This is what Martin's bedroom ceiling could look like, and I think that's priceless. It's fantastic. This or magnolia? What would you choose? I'd choose this. I hope Martin does. The danger, of course, is we turn up to Martin's place with a van full of this, and he looks at it and hates it, but that's the risk worth taking, I think.
Piers got to the site in the nick of time.
So if we come here tomorrow, that would have gone, probably.
Yeah, it would have been. If you need it, you can have it as it is.
A couple of days later, our free wall covering arrives in Leeds. But what will Martin make of it?
I was actually trying to tidy my garden up. And I don't quite know what I'm going to do with it, but Piers is on his way up to apparently make that look good. I thought it'd be like plain sheets as opposed to broken down chimneys or something or whatever it is.
He's struggling to see why Piers is so excited about it.
It's a bit of an eyesore, isn't it? Not convinced at the minute, but We'll see, won't we?
So, will Piers be able to convince Martin that metal sheeting is the solution for his partition walls?
It's a bit of a clean-up.
A bit of a clean-up.
Let's have a go at just cleaning it up with this and seeing how it comes up. See, that is quite nice. Yeah, and that's, a minute, so 5 minutes per sheet.
With Martin still not persuaded, Piers takes him to look at the sheets in position upstairs.
If I hold that there, you get a sense now, don't you? I think this wall, if you do it right up to there, would look fantastic in this stuff.
When I first saw the stuff piled in the back garden, I just thought it looked like a load of junk. But once it starts to look like, that it might fit together and form some sort of panelling, then, yeah, I can see there could be something there. Now we've put the two panels together, obviously we can see it's pretty easy to sand down. I think it could look really good. I think I'd be okay to work out how to put it up as well. And my mum and dad won't like it.
Piers hopes it's mission accomplished.
By the time I come and see Martin's house next, I'm hoping that this stuff will be upstairs, beautifully polished, on his wall, fixed in a nice arrangement, looking great.
Martin is on the final push to get into his house. His dad is on hand to help.
It's what dads do, isn't it? They like to keep an eye on them. Some more.
But with the budget at its end, he'll have to continue to be open-minded and use less conventional materials, like these leftover slates, in place of expensive ones.
So what are you doing? You're plasterboarding the roof and tiling the inside. I like wallpaper. Anaglypta.
He needs to avoid trades like plastering and instead use the skills of the people he has available. It's not just the walls. Martin needs to keep thinking of other ingenious, inexpensive and unconventional finishes if he's going to complete the house. But what will it end up looking like? Maybe he's finally ready to tackle the metal.
I've been worrying about it and wondering what the hell I was going to do with it. So now I'm just going to give it a go. The whole point of this is to have it to look as it is. Just cut this section out on each one.
What's the finish going to be anyway? That's it.
18 months ago, Martin Wymant couldn't raise a mortgage to buy a decent-sized home. So he bought some land once used for lock-up garages, and with a loan of £100,000 from his mum and dad, he set about building his own home. Now it's time for Piers and I to pay our final visit, but what will it look like?
Hi Martin, boys, how are you doing? Good to see you. Good to see you.
How are you doing?
Yeah, good.
Looks like a building.
Looks great.
Despite using 3 different natural materials on the exterior, Martin's actually been able to save money.
I mean, it's an amazing achievement, especially with these expensive materials and so on. You've put a lot of effort yourself into keeping the costs down here.
Yeah, well, when you look at different materials, things like originally I was looking at sort of rendering this wall, etc. You know, by the time you get the labour costs, you know, I managed to slate a lot of that. So I think if you can maybe incorporate and do a bit more yourself, then that's where you can manage to save the money.
Martin began with a staggeringly ambitious plan. We suggested he try less orthodox designs that could also save him money. Did he decide to run with our ideas?
So this is the living room.
This is just great. What an amazing space.
Thank you.
I really like the way that you've embraced the idea of natural materials on the interior. You've really tried to push yourself and get that right.
I took the inspiration for this wood from the house that we went to visit, the hovering house, and I just absolutely loved it when I saw it.
This really hangs together and it really unifies this space.
I wasn't sure whether I'd used it a bit too much, but I think it brings the three sort of areas together really nicely.
Instead of spending money he didn't have on plastering the walls, Martin has clad them in timber and offcuts of slate from the exterior cladding of the house.
I also particularly like the way you've embraced timber in another form with this palette. Tell me about this amazing table.
I'll be totally honest, this is my most prized possession.
It is?
Now, yeah. Actually, that was delivered with some plasterboard. And I just saw it in the garage and I thought, you know, I've not got a coffee table. So I brought it in here, stuck some legs on it and hey presto. I don't know whether I do it slightly to annoy my dad, because as soon as he sees it, he's like, what, best place for that is on fire in the garden type thing.
I really like the floor. I hope this is the finish.
I didn't intend it on being the finish. It was a bit of a mistake, to be honest. I painted it temporarily, but actually I quite like it now. I sanded it down, and it looks a little bit patchy, but I've grown to really like it, actually. It's got interesting and...
It's full of character. I mean, this is the sort of thing that you would see in a New York loft.
By opting for just a concrete floor, Martin saved on the cost of labour and floor covering without compromising on style.
So, the kitchen, Martin, I mean, I know that you didn't spend a lot of money on this, but tell me how much you would say this whole kitchen cost you.
I think including the sort of the sink and the oven and hob, I think we were looking at about 1,300 quid.
That's a cheap kitchen, isn't it?
To keep costs down, Martin found ex-display units for around £500 and tracked down imaginative but low-cost materials for the finishing touches.
You know, things like that splashback. You know, you could go and buy that from a kitchen place and it'd be £70. I just phoned a metal worker, said, have you got a sheet of aluminium? They cut it and it was £10. It's nice to know that you're getting it for as cheap a value as possible, but obviously to make sure I'm happy with it as well, so, and I am.
Keeping out the wind and rain was a big priority for Martin, so when Piers suggested he open up the hallway, he got a flat refusal. But it seems Martin has come up with his own compromise.
I remember we had a little battle over here. I wanted you to leave this wall out. But this looks great, like this. Coming in and seeing straight through is really, really nice, and it makes it seem much bigger.
When I open the door now and I see all the way through, there's no way I would want to ever put a door on and change that now.
When the timber frame was first erected, the upstairs was a dark forest of stud walls. So Martin took down a partition, opened up the space to allow light to pour in, and made more savings. But how does it look now?
Well, what a fantastic space this has turned into.
Thank you.
Look at this height and the natural light from all these different directions. It's really beautiful.
Making the decision to lose a bedroom was quite big, but I think now I'm in here and it's such a wow factor for people to come in, or, you know, when people see it. And it's just a lot more special, really. So I'm really, really, really pleased that I did that, yeah. Probably the best decision I've made so far.
He's even found his own way to clad one entire wall in metal.
You know, I wasn't sure about it probably till the point where I actually put the last couple of pieces on. When I first heard Piers talk about the idea of the metal, and obviously when it got delivered, I just thought, this is, you know, it's not going to work. My dad thought it was ridiculous. But now it's on, I absolutely love it. I love the character. I've started using sort of the worser pieces to get a bit of character within the centre of it. And I sort of did it as a bit of a patchwork, which was probably a little bit different from what we originally discussed.
I'm incredibly pleased to see this wall here. At times I doubted that Martin would do this, but we can't underestimate just what a huge leap Martin has taken to use a material like this. He's come from a conventional house building background. He's building an unconventional house, and he's using a radically unconventional material here in his bedroom.
But he hasn't taken all our suggestions on board.
What I'd hoped to see, though, was a bath in this corner instead of a drum kit. I'd imagine being able to bathe and look down here.
I'm trying not to imagine you bathing in that position, actually.
I'm sure the neighbours are too.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that was probably one step far for me, to be honest. But the drum kit works. I used to have a drum kit when I was a kid in my bedroom, so...
No, this is good, yeah.
The house is a fantastic home for a young man to face the future. But achieving these results has been far from easy.
But it has been hard. It's been harder than I thought it would be. It's taken longer than I thought it would. And obviously I'm split between doing this and the business, and it's been stressful in terms of just trying to keep an eye on everything. I was kind of constantly worried about it. Do you know what I mean? I was like constantly worried, not just financially, but, you know, just general, just stressing.
But has it been worth it? Has he been able to do all this for £100,000?
Tell me again what your original budget was, what you thought you'd build this for, and where you are now.
I've spent probably 102,000 now.
Martin borrowed his parents' life savings to build this house. So is the bank finally prepared to give him a loan?
I've been able to apply for a mortgage, so I'm just waiting for the survey to go through, and hopefully I'll be able to pay them a bit of money back.
That must be so satisfying.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's nice to get that out of the way.
Does it feel like a home now?
Yeah, definitely. I think I'm surprised, really, to be honest, how homely it feels. So I hope that other people feel that when they come as well.
The big gamble has paid off. The house has an estimated market value of around £400,000. It's finally time to celebrate.
One of those projects where you see it from the start on paper and you think it's never going to happen, and then you actually see it now and think, wow.
I like it. I think it's very Martin and different, bit of texture. It's nice.
Oh, I'd love one like this. Yeah, of course I would. Definitely. It's 4 times the size of my place, yeah.
When I saw the plans and we looked at it, we thought, wow, what is this? You know, it just looked like an old folks' home. It'd be a dentist surgery or whatever, but I think it far outweighs what I expected. I didn't think it would look as good as it does.
What did you first think, though, when he started putting tiles on the wall and putting bits of metal on the wall?
When he told me it was for the wall, I just couldn't believe it, but now I've seen it, I do quite like it. The more I look at it, the more I do like it.
Yeah.
Of course, I keep forgetting that this building cost £100,000. This feels like a special, interesting piece of architecture, and I had to keep pinching myself and reminding that this only cost £100,000.
I think the big lessons from Martin's build are really just about courage and courage of your convictions. And I think that Martin has the best of both worlds now. He has a house that he really believes in that I think is a good contribution to its site, but it also internally really reflects Martin. I mean, it's definitely his house, couldn't be anybody else's. And I believe he'll live there for a very long time as a result.
I think it really makes me feel at home. I'm really pleased with what I've achieved. I've obviously still got bits and pieces left to finish off, and then I can sit back and really be pleased and chill out and get back to normal life and be proud of what me and my dad and my mum have basically done, yeah. Thank you very much.
Martin and his family.